In the bottom right, the red Protoss playing for Team Axiom, the Korean, it is CranK. And in the top left spawning position here on Star Station, we've got Mouse CC's HeroMarine playing as the Blue Terran player. He's on the ropes, man. He's down 2 games, and after going down like that in game number 2 to a bit of an unorthodox cheese that we haven't really seen as much, I'd be feeling a little bit bad, and hopefully he can regain his confidence and throw out a really solid game, a macro game, take a victory that will restore his faith in his best of 5 series, and maybe we're going to see a bit of a comeback out of the German player.
No, I completely agree with you there. For example, a cheese at this point out of HeroMarine, even if it wins him the game, it's not the kind of thing where it restores your confidence completely. You're still 2-1 down in a best of 3, and you know that your victory came from cheese. So it'd be really nice for him to get a solid macro performance in at the moment, and hopefully take a game off CranK that way. I think that would really boost him and give him a great chance of getting back to 2-0.
Yeah, hopefully that's going to happen. But for now, the openers have been pretty much the same that we've seen in every game. We're going to see another Reaper opener, I would expect, out of HeroMarine. This would definitely not be the map to go for a one base all-in on, because it's so big. It's a 4-player map. Very unlikely to see that happen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just seeing like what people are tweeting at me that they want to hear said during a broadcast. And there's definitely 2 at the moment that I think I'm enjoying more than the rest, but some of these have been absolutely hilarious. 1 or 2 I can't say on stream, so please don't swear or anything like that. But if you have anything funny that you want to see slipped in to a random cast, tweet it at Jorisar now, and I will say it at some point in the next best of 5, and one of those guys will win a Heart of the Swarm beta key. But for now, though, we are back in this game. CranK has just put down his natural expansion, as has Marine, so both players completely happy to go macro-oriented this time around.
Yeah, both players playing the macro game. No proxy Stargates this game. Would be a really bad map to proxy a Stargate on anyway. So standard play coming out of both players. We see the Mothership Core has just finished up production and will be taking care of this SCV, but not before the SCV has seen all that there is to see. Has seen that there's no second gas taken, so he knows he's safe. He knows there's no one base all-in like a 4-gate or anything ridiculous coming his way. He's seen the Nexus, the Mothership Core is out, so CranK is going to be feeling safe and secure. And like you said, Jorisar, we're getting ready to go into the macro game.
That's right. So, not going to see any cheese this time around. We do have a Reaper just slowly trying to pick away at the shields of a pylon and a couple of units. He's not going to do much damage, but does get a decent scout off of the Protoss base here. Now, the second gas has already been taken, but we don't have any indication just yet of where all that gas is going until now. Ooh. CranK, once again, going for the Stargate.
Yep, we could be getting ready to see some more Oracle play here. Oracle play really not that hard to shut down in the mid game. Like you saw in the early game, it can be really dangerous because you have a low amount of Marines, because you go for the Reaper opener. That of course makes you have a lower Marine count, and an Oracle can take on 1-2 Marines. 3 might be a little bit tricky, not quite sure on the math. But when there's only 1, ooh, here's the Reaper. This Reaper could actually do some damage here. Might be able to kill a few probes. No, instead gonna choose to scout.
He's not even going to try, man. Do you know how many shots it takes for a Reaper to kill a probe right now in Heart of the Swarm? Yeah, the correct answer is actually 3,250. It's just not worth it. It really isn't. So he got the scouting information he wanted. He could have risked trying to kill a probe there, but that's not actually worth it at this point of the game. Why? Yes, you kill a worker, but your Reaper's probably going to die. And now that the Reaper is alive, he has a chance to go back in and scout the tech once more a little bit later on. That might give him something like a timing on a robotics bay, for example, which could be really valuable information to HeroMarine. So for those of you wondering why he didn't start shooting a probe, I'm pretty sure that's the reason.
I was doing some math in my head, and I'm really bad at math, as you might know, but I think it takes 5 shots for a Reaper to kill a probe. So 5 shots to kill a probe. You're right, he would have maybe been able to kill a single probe, but how much damage would that have done? But in the meantime, oh my god, he cancelled the Stargate and he dropped down 2 forges.
Exactly.
So a complete switch in strategy here by CranK. As soon as it got scouted out, he's like, okay, well, you have your way. I'll just change my strategy. Go for
But
double forges.
this is another reason why keeping the Reaper alive is actually really useful, because the Reaper's going to attempt to come back in here. Will the Stalker actually stop it? If the Reaper manages to scout this, now watch, he's going to go straight for behind the mineral line. Is he going to see the Stargates cancel? Look at that. This is why the Reaper didn't stop to pick off any SCVs, probes rather. HeroMarine doing a fantastic job with this guy, and the Reaper is going to live once more. Pretty lucky guy.
Yeah, man, those combat drugs working out really, really well for the Reaper. And you might be like, what, combat drugs? But that's what the thingy is called. Regenerates life quickly while out of combat. The regeneration thing that the Reaper has. It's called combat drugs. Did you know that? I didn't. Today you learned.
Well, I always knew that Reapers were massive druggies, but Heart of the Swarm really is just reinforced that belief. We've got a hallucinated Phoenix in here, just going to check out everything inside the main base. It actually gets taken out by Marines before the entire base can be scouted, but all of the important structures have been scouted. He sees that there are at least 2 factories, so he can assume that his opponent is going mech.
Yeah, and more importantly, he saw those Widow Mines load up into the medevac, I think. And that is a really big tell. So those Widow Mines might not be as much of a surprise as HeroMarine was hoping for. Let's see how this is going to do. Another Ignite Afterburners goes down and the medevac speeds up a little bit. There are units in position to scout for the medevac to come in. Let's see how much damage this can do.
Great use of this Reaper that HeroMarine should probably move away because he doesn't want to take his own Zealot one-on-one. That Reaper simply held the watchtower so that the medevac could move by unobstructed. Great stuff there, and therefore, strictly speaking, CranK might be expecting this to come in, but he hasn't seen it yet. Here we go, the Widow Mines going into the worker line now. The probes are getting pulled, but 2 of them are reasonably close by. Photon Overcharge going down on the Nexus, and 4 Widow Mines now in the mineral line.
And guess what? There's no detection for the Protoss player. Oracles do have the Envision ability. No longer does the Mothership Core have that. So these Widow Mines are going to stay burrowed here and going to deny mining for a long time. The robotics facility is just now finished up. So what are they doing? Why are they repositioning? Ooh.
And the Widow Mines have scouted the Dark Shrine as well. So really cool stuff coming out of here from HeroMarine. Now, admittedly, he's only killed 4 workers this game, so it's not the largest amount. But think about how much time he's spent preventing mining going down in the main base. This alone could almost be worth it.
Yeah, I agree. There are some DTs on the map right now. Do we have detection? We do have Hellbats now on the field. And when Jorazar got onto the call with me when we were on break after the first game, he was like, "Did we see any Hellbats?" And I was like, "No." Oh well, CranK must have won then. So let's see if that a bit of a theory there, that theory crafting is going to be true for this game. Do Hellbats mean win for Terran? We'll find out soon.
We will indeed. I mean, we saw some sick Hellbat micro yesterday. I mean, before Fuza went out of the tournament yesterday, he showed us that he wasn't all about 2-raxing. His medevac Hellbat drops were insane. His defensive drops, that's right, you heard me, defensive Hellbat drops, where he was picking them up and dropping them near like Zealots and Immortals and stuff to try and hold off a push. Some really, really cool stuff there. So not always just sneaking them into your opponent's mineral lines and obliterating everything.
No, it's going to be harder as of this patch, of course, because you can only stick 2 of them in a medevac, but it's still so potent. 2 Hellbats kill probes really quickly too, just not as quickly. Anyway, let's get back into this game a little bit. HeroMarine has been going mech for about half a year, and CranK has taken so much damage and has been set back so far because of that drop, because of the pressure that HeroMarine was putting on him. And as a result, we see CranK down 50 supply.
One thing to point out, though, is that CranK is actually still doing okay in the worker count. He's 65 workers versus 68 now versus 68 of HeroMarine. However, HeroMarine, of course, with those extra mules as well, means he does have an income advantage. But CranK isn't doing too badly. He's got 4 more gateways just inside his main base ready to pop out, which brings him to a total of a stupid number of gateways, at least 8 inside his main base alone. So he will be able to pump out units very, very quickly, and he will need to, though. HeroMarine pushing out 160 supply worth of Hellbats and Siege Tanks.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult for CranK to hold. He's down 50 supply, and he's buying time with Force Fields. That is exactly what he needs to do. He has a second Immortal on the way. He has High Templar morphing in. They are not going to be used for Storms. They will be used as Archons. I would expect Archons. Yes, there they go. Upgrades are coming in, but the upgrades are not going to finish in time. This is such a scary push. HeroMarine is going to take up shop, and of course those Siege Tanks have Siege Tech, because that's no longer an upgrade. But HeroMarine, is he going to retreat? Wow.
Maybe he got scared. That's very interesting. I wonder what he saw to make him retreat there. CranK, though, I think was in an okay position. I mean, he just morphed in his Archon. Zealot Charge had literally just finished when he pulled back the first time, and he has 8 gateways worth of production and has some pylons in the top right where he can reinforce as well. So he's looking okay. He's trying to flank Marine at the moment, but HeroMarine is sieged up in the middle of the map. It looks like this engagement is about to begin.
Yeah, this engagement is looking quite good for HeroMarine. He was already sieged up. All the Hellbats have died, but there's still about a gazillion tanks out on the map. There's still 2 Immortals left alive. The Immortals doing so much damage. Time Warp goes down on the siege tanks. And CranK, even though being down in supply, he will be able to take this engagement. Those Immortals cleaning the tanks up as if they don't even exist.
Oh my god, those Immortals just soaked up so much damage there. Notice that pretty much all the Zealots that CranK had at the beginning of that engagement have vaporized. They were literally there to tank damage while the Immortals did their work. The Archons there to tank damage. He didn't get too much splash damage off either. And these Immortals are proving so useful for him. He's pushing forward. Now 20 supply up on CranK, and the third base is looking very vulnerable.
Third base looking vulnerable. More gateway reinforcements coming in from the right. Still 2 Immortals left alive. Is CranK gonna take this in a 3-0 sweep? He could, but there's a lot of siege tanks on the ramp. Still 1 Immortal left standing, a few Archons. I think HeroMarine should be able to stabilize here. A few Zealots are going to be coming in. Still 3 Archons left alive, but the siege tanks are coming out a lot at the same time.
Yeah, a little bit greedy play there from CranK, because the sensible option would have been to pull back from the cliff where the siege tanks were and just loop around and kill the 3rd and 4th command centers. That would have been super simple to do, which is exactly what he's doing now, but with significantly fewer units.
Yeah, it's going to be more difficult to do now. We do have a new, fresh Immortal joined up. The first Immortal is still alive and has 11 kills, which is quite an impressive amount. We now see HeroMarine moving down his main base, and he's trying to keep his 3rd base alive, trying to scare CranK off, and CranK's going to be expanding to a 4th base himself, so he's not sitting still behind this Jorosaur. He's got his follow-ups ready. He's going into Stargates.
Yep, and we've got a 4th base coming up now from CranK as well in the bottom center base. The Nexus is already finished and he will commence mining shortly. The worker supply is 79 to 66, and even though HeroMarine is up at the moment by 25 supply, that's an army supply that will take forever to move across the map.
Yeah, it's going to be a while before he can really capitalize on that. It's really stunning how much supply those Hellbats really take up, because I feel like the army of CranK was stronger, even though he was down like 30 to 40 supply, which is different from what I'm used to seeing. Usually when you see a big mech army, you're like, oh, I don't want to engage this straight up. I want to run away and do multi-pronged attacks, harass, and stuff like that. But CranK just took that mech army head on and won. That was sick. That was good play. Will he be able to do it again? He'll have to do it at least one more time, because there's a lot of SCVs in this attack. I'm not sure if HeroMarine will have the best economy after this.
I really like what HeroMarine is doing. He's trying to push against the 4th base, trying to provoke some sort of vulnerability in CranK's defenses while taking his own fort, and we don't have Zealots warped in to try and harass that. And here we go. The army's arriving a little bit late for CranK. He should take out the Nexus and leave if he can, or he needs to retreat. One or the other. These Immortals could end up doing so much damage, and once again, only the tanks are left, and we have Archons and Immortals here. CranK is going to tear through this.
Yeah, once again, all the Immortals staying alive, 17 kills on the Immortals. We have to point out another thing, that's the upgrade part of this game that we have been neglecting a little bit. 3, 2, 3 are the upgrades for CranK. That is sick, absolutely sick. And the mech for HeroMarine has been at 1-0 pretty much the entire game, just now finishing up 2-0. So the upgrade advantage is just huge, which is also playing a part in why CranK's being so cost efficient.
Oh, HeroMarine needs to repair the planetary. He needs to repair the oh dear, just a little bit too late on those reactions. And CranK now, he's only at a 10 supply lead, but the quality of his army, Leland, like you rightly pointed out, these upgrades are insane, and he's absolutely tearing through the mech here of HeroMarine.
Has to be careful though, his Immortals are almost naked. There's hardly any anti-air here though, so this one Viking is going to go down.